presentation through a quote by a correspondent of the psychologist Yu-Ting Lee. And I quote, "Heaven is a place with an American house, a Chinese food, British police, a German car, and a French art." And on the other hand, hell is a place with Japanese house, Chinese police, British food, German art, and a French car. Well, all of the aforementioned are types of stereotyping used by people around the world that are not necessarily negative, as some people tend to see. Sometimes stereotype is negative for society, but sometimes it's not. As Lee proposes, we have to have stereotypes to deal with so much information in a world with which we are often uncertain and unfamiliar. However, sometimes in public speech or communication, stereotypes are used negatively, affecting minorities most of the time. Well, I would like to tell you a little bit about the concept of stereotypes. Well, stereotype, it's sometimes it's the aid that we use to understand the world and all the environment around us. We are not able to broadly know a group unless we noted the differences between said group and another group. It's like compare and contrasting. When we compare and contrast things, we tend to group similar things in one side and to put aside the different things. So it's like a compare and contrast. This is an example of gender stereotypes. We used to group people by sex most of the time, women and men. And we tend to see the female brain as a group of things that females tend to do mostly and males tend to do. So in that sense, we are also stereotyping. We see stereotyping as the aids for understanding the world because, like I said, we compare and contrast things in order to understand the differences. And also, we tend to use new information. We tend to perceive it using previously acquired information. Also, stereotypes are the easy way that we humans use to save time and effort. And I said this because when we see a group of people, we tend to see the general characteristics of that group because it's easier for us to see the general characteristics instead of going and looking for differences in detailed information. We look for the broader spectrum. We look for general characteristics. Also, when we stereotype, we also produce distortions of the reality because we are being the echo of some person that are saying that some group has different kinds of characteristics, but we don't know the validity of those statements. We don't know if they're true or not. We're just generalizing what a person has said. In addition to that, I think that stereotypes are also beliefs shared by a group of people. A group of people that share the same environment, but they're different. So the only thing in common is the environment around them. So when we have the same environment and we have different people, we mostly gonna get similar behavior. And that similar behavior will lead to stereotypes. Also, group members try to be distinct from other groups to gain social identity. So group members are trying to stay different from other group members and are trying to stay alike from the members of the in-group. And this is, I would like to point out that this picture here is an example of stereotyping by the look of the person. So So we tend to say whatever look the person has is whatever that person is or whatever that person does. So that's one kind of stereotype. Also, I would like to point out the reasons why we need to stereotype. We as people, we need to stereotype because we need to feel self-developed. We need to fit in the society, and therefore we need stereotyping for self-development, because that contributes to a positive social identity, and that accentuates the difference between in-group and out-group members. Also, people use stereotypes to simplify how they think about others and to heighten their views of themselves and the group of which they belong. In addition, people stereotype others because in that sense they maintain the status quo, and we can see this clearly in the case of politicians. For example, the stereotypes that blacks are less intelligent than whites, it can serve to justify the maintenance of limited programs for educational advancement for blacks. In the case of politics, in the case of educational development, we can see that stereotyping can maintain the status quo. Also, we need to know what kind of things or person, what do we stereotype? Well, mostly we stereotype people. We stereotype people by the color of the skin. We said people are black or are white. We also tend to stereotype people by the language they speak. If they speak English, if they speak Spanish, if they speak French, we tend to stereotype by the language. Also, we stereotype by the sex. We said as women, as men, as gay, and those are also types of stereotyping. And in addition to people, we also stereotype animals and we stereotype things. The things by the shape, by the size. We tend to say those buildings are square-like, or the size. We tend to say big buildings, small spaces. We tend to group similar things according to the shape, the size, the color, and the mass also. Well, now that we know the concept of stereotyping and the reasons why we stereotype and what we stereotype, it is important to say that in public speaking skills, we need to be audience-centered, in the sense that we need to know our audience, but we don't need to stereotype when we speak. We have to use our words carefully. We have to be careful with our language and our message, and our message should be inclusive, to include all of the audience, not just a group of the audience, but all of the audience. And so in that sense, we don't hurt someone's feelings or someone feels discriminated. Well, all in all, I really think that we should avoid stereotyping in any speech, so that our message can be accepted by all kinds of audience members. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Bye-bye.